The digital chime of an incoming message is a sound so common in our modern lives, often heralding nothing more consequential than a meme from a friend or a reminder for a bill. But for Elena Vinogradova, a mother living in the industrial Russian city of Perm, the sound that came from her phone on the evening of February 21, 2021, would become the sonic anchor for a nightmare from which she would never wake. The message was from her daughter, Maria, a vibrant 21-year-old who was supposed to be living a fairy tale opportunity in the dazzling metropolis of Dubai. Hello and a very dark welcome to The Killer Next Door. I'm your host, and in this space, we pull back the curtain on the most chilling true crime stories. The ones that prove the most monstrous secrets are often hiding in plain sight. Right next door. Before we dive into today's devastating case, I want to make this a conversation with all of you watching. The truth is, these stories hit differently depending on where in the world you're listening from. So, let me know who's out there. Leave a comment right now and tell me two things: your name, and the city or country you're watching from. Not only does it help me feel connected to this incredible community, but I'll be giving a shout out to some of you in our next video. Let's see how far and wide the Killer Next Door family reaches. Now, if you think the concept of a predator using a fairy tale romance as a trap sounds like something from a movie, wait until you hear this story. You might have even seen this story pop up in the true crime corners of the internet, but today, we're going to break it down in a way you haven't heard before, exposing the chilling, step-by-step process that turns human life into a transaction. The text was brief, a stark and jarring contrast to the effusive, excited paragraphs that had filled their chat history for the preceding weeks. It contained no emojis, no descriptions of glamorous photo shoots or luxurious hotels. It was just 8 simple words, typed out in a moment of stolen privacy and rising fear. "It's strange here, Mom. I can't use my phone." These 8 words were the final, frayed thread connecting a family to their beloved child, a thread that would soon be severed with a brutality that defies human comprehension. For 18 agonizing days, this message was the only clue, a cryptic and terrifying breadcrumb in an increasingly dark forest. Then, the silence was broken by the worst possible news. The body of Maria Vinogradova was discovered in the soundproofed, windowless basement of a private villa in Dubai's exclusive and opulent Dubai Marina district. The official report, what little of it was ever shared with her grieving family, described a scene of such profound horror it seemed ripped from the most grotesque work of fiction. Her body, the vessel of so many hopes and dreams, bore the unmistakable, systematic signs of prolonged, calculated torture and mutilation. This narrative, however, is far more than the story of a single, tragic murder. It is a chilling exposé of a sophisticated, transnational machinery, a corporate-style enterprise that coldly preys on hope and ambition, efficiently processing human lives into disposable commodities for the entertainment of a shadow elite that operates with near-total impunity. This is the intricate and devastating story of how a young woman's dream of a modeling career was twisted into a desert nightmare, and how the universal pursuit of justice can be systematically thwarted by an almost insurmountable wall of wealth, power, and international diplomatic barriers. The genesis of this tragedy, like so many in our interconnected era, was not marked by ominous music or dark portents, but by the ping of a social media notification, a sound synonymous with opportunity and connection. The story properly begins in the depths of a Russian winter, in January 2021, within the sprawling, industrial city of Perm. Here, Maria Vinogradova was navigating the universal crossroads of early adulthood. She worked diligently as an administrator in a local dental clinic, a stable and respectable job that provided for her needs but could not contain the expansive horizons of her ambition. Her true passion, her escape from the mundane, was the vibrant, glamorous world of fashion and beauty. Her Instagram profile served as her digital portfolio and her personal sanctuary, a carefully curated collection of photos from local beauty pageants where her natural poise shone through, promotional posts for regional clothing boutiques, and aspirational images that spoke volumes of a young woman actively searching for her place in a larger, more exciting world. With a follower count of just over 3,000, she was not an internet celebrity, but she possessed the fresh-faced look, the spark of ambition, and the digital presence that modern recruiters, both legitimate and malign, actively seek. The message that would irrevocably alter the trajectory of her life, and ultimately end it, arrived unobtrusively in her Instagram direct messages. It was from an account representing Orientix Models, an agency that appeared, on every superficial level, to be the absolute pinnacle of legitimacy and success. The account was verified by the platform, a blue badge that acts as a universal signal of authenticity. It boasted a follower count in the tens of thousands and a feed overflowing with glossy, professional content featuring models in exotic locations. The representative who communicated with Maria used polished, professional English, and presented an offer that seemed too good to be true, because it was. It was an offer for an exclusive contract for a high-budget advertising campaign for a premium, internationally recognized cosmetics brand, with the entire shoot scheduled to take place over 1 month in the United Arab Emirates, a global symbol of luxury and futuristic ambition. The terms laid out were not merely good, they were astronomically generous, deliberately designed to disarm any potential skepticism and overwhelm rational caution with the sheer force of opportunity. The offer was meticulously itemized in a way that felt both professional and thrilling, a staggering monthly fee of $30,000 for the duration of the shoot, a sum that dwarfed years of her salary in perm. Fully paid. Business class airfare from her hometown directly to Dubai. Luxury. Accommodation at the famed 5-star Hyatt Regency Hotel. Full logistical support, including a dedicated personal coordinator, private airport transfers, and all living expenses covered by an agency corporate card. Freeing her from any financial worry. Elena Vinogradova, Maria's mother, later recalled in a heart-wrenching interview how her daughter had brought her the printed correspondence, her face alight with excitement. The illusion constructed by the criminals was flawless in its execution. The agency provided official-looking contracts on embossed, branded letterhead, complete with convincing corporate stamps and exhaustively detailed project descriptions. They even supplied copies of official-looking business licenses and certificates that allegedly confirmed their legal right to operate within the UAE. Their professional website was a masterpiece of digital deception, featuring expansive portfolios of stunningly successful models. Pages of glowing, detailed testimonials, and a prestigious list of client brands that any aspiring model would recognize. "I checked them out on the internet myself," Elena stated, her voice heavy with a regret that would never leave her. "They had such a beautiful, professional website, so many photos from glamorous events and parties, and clear contact information for offices in different countries. To any concerned parent, everything looked completely serious and professional." Driven by a sense of due diligence as much as bubbling excitement, Maria did what any savvy young person of her generation would do. She proactively reached out to several of the models featured prominently in the Orientix portfolio via social media. To her immense relief, they responded promptly and positively, confirming without hesitation that they had worked with the agency and were thoroughly satisfied with their experiences. This social proof, this digital word of mouth from seemingly successful peers, was the final, critical piece that cemented her trust and silenced the last whispers of doubt. The subsequent paperwork process unfolded over 2 weeks, a period during which the agency was relentlessly helpful and efficient, handling all the complex logistics of obtaining what was presented as a work visa, booking her flights, and arranging her airport transfer. Maria's only responsibilities were to provide her passport details and undergo a routine medical examination at a clinic specified by the agency, a detail that would later take on a profoundly more sinister connotation in the wake of the investigation. The day before her departure, Maria received the final, convincing package of documents that sealed her fate: her legitimate Emirates airline tickets, the official hotel voucher for the Hyatt Regency, and a detailed, hour-by-hour itinerary for her first week of filming. She was assured that a professional project coordinator would be waiting for her at the arrivals hall of Dubai International Airport, holding a sign with her name. On February 14, 2021, filled with the giddy anticipation of a new beginning, Maria Vinogradova flew from Perm to Moscow, and then boarded a direct flight to Dubai. Her mother's last living memory of her was a snapshot of pure, unadulterated hope, a beautiful young woman buzzing with excitement at Bolshoi Savino Airport, meticulously documenting every moment for the social media travel diary she planned to keep. Already brainstorming catchy hashtags for her new life as an international model. She was stepping into a carefully woven narrative, one whose final chapter was already written in brutality. The first communications from Dubai were predictably reassuring, designed to maintain the illusion. Maria sent her mother cheerful photos from the sleek, modern airport, explicitly confirming she had been met by well-dressed, professional-looking agency representatives. Over the next few days, her messages remained positive and descriptive, detailing her impressive hotel room with its city views, introductory meetings with other models allegedly involved in the same project, and initial preparations for the first photo shoot. She made only minor, almost charming complaints about the intensity of the desert heat and the unfamiliarity of the local cuisine. The facade of the dream, for a short while, remained perfectly intact. The first visible crack in this meticulously constructed reality appeared on February 17. The tone of Maria's messages shifted palpably from excited and assured to uneasy and confused. She explained that due to unexpected and urgent renovations at their hotel, all the models had been moved to a new, temporary location, a private villa. While she described it as spacious and luxurious, she noted the sudden and unsettling imposition of strict security rules. The girls were now forbidden from using their personal phones without direct supervision, were not allowed to leave the villa premises unaccompanied for any reason, and were sternly instructed not to communicate with outsiders. The dream was beginning to curdle into something that felt distinctly like confinement. The gilded cage was revealing its bars. The reality of her situation, as later investigations would reveal, was far more terrifying than she could have imagined. In a private message to her close friend, Anastasia Kruglova, Maria's fear was more palpable and less filtered than what she shared with her mother. "Everything here is organized in a strange way," she confessed. "I can't use my phone without permission. All the other girls are silent. They seem to be afraid to say anything, but they keep telling me that this is normal for projects of this level." This desperate, whispered digital confession was the final message anyone from her old life would ever receive. On February 18, Maria Vinogradova digitally vanished from the earth. Her social media accounts were deactivated simultaneously and without warning. Her mobile phone number was disconnected, going straight to a generic voicemail. In the space of a few hours, she had been systematically erased from the online world she so loved and actively curated, a world that had been the very conduit for her destruction. When Elena Vinogradova, gripped by a mounting, primal panic, tried to contact the agency for answers, she discovered a digital ghost town. The once polished Orientix model's website now returned a persistent server error. The professional email addresses bounced back with automated delivery failure notices. Every phone number listed, for offices across multiple countries, rang endlessly before disconnecting. The meticulously constructed illusion had served its singular, cruel purpose and was now being deliberately and efficiently dismantled. Elena immediately contacted the Russian consulate in the UAE. Consular officials professionally logged the missing person report but soon delivered a devastating and critical piece of information. According to Emirati immigration records, Maria had entered the country on a tourist visa, not the official work visa the agency had promised and supposedly arranged. This discrepancy was a critical red flag, indicating she had no legal authorization to work in the country and placing her immediately in a vulnerable, undocumented status, complicating any official investigation. Subsequent investigations by both journalists and international human rights groups would reveal the terrifying depth of the deception. Orientix Models was a complete phantom, a corporate ghost registered in an obscure offshore zone with lax regulations. The impressive office addresses listed on its website were for non-existent suites and prestigious commercial buildings. The official-looking business licenses and certificates were high-quality forgeries, professionally produced but entirely legally worthless. Russian law enforcement, upon the family's desperate urging, opened a formal criminal case for human trafficking, but their hands were tied by the rigid constraints of international jurisdiction and a lack of cooperation. The UAE authorities, for their part, provided formal but largely performative cooperation, stating that according to their records, they had no trace of Maria Vinogradova beyond her entry stamp at the airport. It was as if the desert sands had literally swallowed her whole. For a nightmarish month, Maria's family and friends waged a desperate, grassroots campaign to find her. They flooded Russian and international social media with her photos, appealed passionately to the large Russian-speaking diaspora in the UAE for any information, and physically papered Dubai neighborhoods with missing person flyers. There were fleeting, unconfirmed sightings. A girl who looked strikingly like Maria was reportedly seen looking distressed in the Dubai Marina area, but none of these leads ever culminated in anything concrete or actionable. With each passing, silent day, the flickering flame of hope grew dimmer. The breakthrough, when it finally came, was as horrifying and brutal as the silence that preceded it. On March 31st, a user operating under the cryptic pseudonym Venger uploaded a massive, compressed archive of video files to a closed, invitation-only forum on the dark web. The forum section where it was posted was chillingly labeled, "For unpaid fees," hinting at a motive of grievance rather than altruism. The videos, recorded with high-definition hidden cameras, depicted the interior of an ultra-exclusive, members-only private club operating from the 57th floor of the Alpha Un Tower, one of Dubai's most prestigious and secure skyscrapers. The footage revealed a scene of such unimaginable depravity that it forced a reckoning with the darkest capabilities of human cruelty when combined with absolute power and wealth. The central feature of this macabre club was a transparent, glass-walled room, a human display case designed for observation. Inside, a naked, emaciated woman, her head shaved bare, was chained by the neck to a cold, concrete wall. Her body was a living canvas of extreme brutality, covered in a mosaic of bruises in various stages of healing, deep lacerations, and the distinctive, blister-like marks consistent with the repeated application of electric shock torture. She was barely moving, a testament to either broken will or physical exhaustion. On the other side of the glass, men in impeccably tailored suits, adorned with expensive watches, sat in plush, theater-style armchairs, sipping champagne and observing the scene with detached curiosity, as if it were a theatrical performance or a sporting event. The recordings, which spanned many hours across different days, showed a systematic, calculated process of physical and sexual abuse carried out by masked men who entered the enclosure at intervals. The spectators behind the glass were not passive, they were active participants, placing bets with hand gestures, offering commentary to each other, and even issuing specific commands to the perpetrators via a discreet intercom system. This was not a spontaneous crime of passion, it was a commercial enterprise, a form of high-end, sadistic entertainment for a clientele that believed its wealth placed it entirely above the law. The victim in the video was positively identified by two key, heartbreaking features. The first was a distinctive, slightly curved scar on her left shoulder from a childhood operation, which Elena Vinogradova immediately and tearfully recognized from countless summer days. The second was a fleeting, agonizing moment where the emaciated, broken woman gathered enough strength to whisper a few, barely audible words in her native Russian. Masha from Perm. Please help me. Masha is the affectionate, familial diminutive for Maria. The digital metadata embedded in the video files provided a cold, technical confirmation of the timeline, showing the footage was recorded between February 18th and March 6th, the very period of Maria's disappearance. The high-quality, multi-angle recording indicated a permanent, sophisticated, and expensive surveillance system, suggesting that this was not an isolated event, but a regular and well-organized operation with a dedicated clientele. The public leak of this evidence forced the hand of the UAE authorities. On April 2nd, a special police unit raided the Al Fathan Tower. But they were met with a scene of deliberate and professional sanitization. The club had been systematically scrubbed. The fire suppression system had been deliberately activated, flooding the premises and destroying any potential forensic evidence. The infamous glass enclosure, the centerpiece of the horror, had been completely dismantled and removed. All that remained was a hollow, water-damaged shell, a physical metaphor for the emptiness of the subsequent official investigation. Investigators later determined that the club had operated under the legitimate-sounding guise of the Orient Contemporary Art Gallery, a venue supposedly dedicated to exclusive cultural events and exhibitions. Membership was priced at an astronomical $500,000 per year, with single, exclusive events costing $50,000 per person, a financial barrier that ensured a clientele of immense wealth and, consequently, immense political and social influence. The international investigation that slowly and painstakingly pieced itself together in the following months revealed a criminal network of staggering scale and cynicism. The mastermind was identified as Faisal al-Hazrani, a Saudi Arabian citizen and a supposed philanthropist who ran the Support Young Artists charitable foundation. This foundation was his shield, his ticket to respectability, financing legitimate cultural projects and art exhibitions in Europe and North America to build an unassailable reputation as a respectable patron of the arts, while its dark underside funded a global, profit-driven human trafficking operation. Orientix Models was revealed to be just one of many fake agencies under his control. Others with nearly identical modus operandi included Vostok Talents Premium Models Dubai and Arab Dream Casting. All used the same precise playbook, used data analytics and social media monitoring to identify ambitious, beautiful young women from lower middle-income backgrounds in Eastern Europe, specifically Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, and Moldova, who had a strong, active social media presence but limited real-world modeling experience or international travel knowledge. The recruitment process itself was a masterclass in psychological manipulation and digital deceit. The criminals created entire, self-referential ecosystems of fake models, dozens of convincing, long-running social media profiles that would reliably vouch for the agency's legitimacy when contacted by cautious potential victims. The professional websites were all built on identical web templates and hosted on servers specifically designed for anonymity and rapid takedown. The victims were lured not with threats or coercion, but with a manufactured reality of success and glamour, making them willing, even eager, participants in their own initial travel arrangements. They booked their own downfall with hopeful excitement. Once the girls arrived in Dubai, the trap was sprung with chilling efficiency. They were immediately isolated, their passports confiscated under the plausible guise of safekeeping for visa processing, and subjected to a regime of total control. The system was scientifically designed to break their will through a combination of extreme physical violence, profound psychological torture, including showing them real-time photos of their families and explicitly threatening their safety, and the forced administration of drugs and sedatives to induce disorientation, compliance, and long-term amnesia. They were held in a rotating network of soundproofed basements and lavishly rented villas in upscale neighborhoods like Dubai Marina and Al Brisha, transported between locations in window-tinted vans during low-traffic hours to avoid detection. They were human ghosts in a city of blinding light. The financial underpinning of the entire operation was labyrinthine in its complexity. Over a 3-year period, forensic accountants traced more than $50 million that flowed through al-Hazrani's network, laundered through a Russian doll-like web of offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands and Cyprus, and through difficult-to-trace cryptocurrency exchanges. The money was sourced from wealthy clients across the Gulf states, Europe, and North America, often disguised as charitable donations to his foundation. A significant portion of this immense cash flow was used to bribe officials in both the source countries, to smooth over visa and border control issues, and within the UAE itself, to ensure a blind eye was turned by local law enforcement and regulators. The user, Venger, who triggered the entire exposure, was eventually identified as Markus Schmidt, a German national working as a technical director for a major oil company based in Dubai. His motive was not altruism but pure, calculated revenge. The club's management had refused to pay him a $200,000 commission for referring new, high-value clients to their establishment. In retaliation, he leaked the horrific videos he had secretly copied over months from the club's internal servers. His subsequent arrest in Germany provided investigators with some crucial evidence, but he was ultimately a minor player, a disgruntled customer, not a mastermind. The true kingpin, Faisal al-Hazrani, escaped justice entirely and with breathtaking ease. Just 9 hours after the police raid on the Al Fatun Tower began, he departed Dubai from a private, secure terminal on an unscheduled flight to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, without filing a formal flight plan. His status as an official advisor to the Saudi Ministry of Culture and Sports, combined with his possession of multiple passports and his virtually limitless wealth, rendered him untouchable. Saudi authorities, upon receiving inquiries, dismissively waved away the mountain of evidence against him as unreliable and politically motivated, and flatly denied all subsequent international extradition requests. To this day, he is believed to live a life of untroubled luxury, protected by an impenetrable wall of diplomatic immunity and tribal influence. The official response from the UAE authorities to the entire affair has been widely criticized by major international human rights organizations as inadequate and obfuscating. They have repeatedly questioned the authenticity of the video evidence, suggesting the potential for deepfake manipulation, and have consistently emphasized that Maria entered the country voluntarily on a tourist visa, subtly but unmistakably shifting the burden of blame onto the victim for violating the terms of her entry. The Vinogradova family's relentless quest for justice through the Russian government, and subsequently, the European Court of Human Rights, has been met with years of procedural delays, diplomatic stonewalling, and legal obfuscation. In the devastating aftermath, Elena Vinogradova has channeled her bottomless grief into purposeful action, establishing a foundation in her daughter's name to assist other families of trafficking victims and to raise global awareness of the sophisticated tactics used by these modern-day slave traders. While Markus Schmidt received an 8-year prison sentence in Germany for his role as an accomplice, he remains the only person involved in this vast network to have faced any meaningful legal consequence. The case of Maria Vinogradova stands as a harrowing, enduring testament to a brutal and unsettling truth of our globalized age. that in the deep shadows cast by immense wealth and power, there exists a thriving, ruthless marketplace of human suffering, where money can purchase not just pleasure, but absolute, unassailable impunity for the most heinous crimes imaginable. It is a stark warning that the most dangerous predators do not always lurk in the shadows. Sometimes they welcome their victims in the blinding, seductive light of a promised dream. And so, the story of Maria Vinogradova fades from the headlines, but its terrifying warning remains. It's a stark reminder that the most dangerous predators aren't always the ones lurking in a dark alley. They're the ones who know exactly how to weaponize our deepest hopes and desires. This is the core of what we explore here on The Killer Next Door, the unsettling truth that evil doesn't always look the part. If this breakdown pulled you in and made you see this case in a new light, then you've found your true crime home. So, do me 3 favors. 1. First, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. You won't want to miss our next deep dive, where we'll be shouting out some of the names and locations you've left in the comments today. 2. Second, let this story sink in, and then tell me your thoughts below. Did you know about this case before? What part of this scheme chilled you to the bone? 3. And finally, share this video with a friend. The more people who understand these tactics, the harder it becomes for the killers next door to operate in the shadows. Thank you for watching, for caring, and for being a part of this community. Stay aware, stay safe, and never stop looking behind the mask. I'll see you in the next one.